believe that some of the most powerful people in the world hide secrets far too dark to ever be revealed? Have you ever wondered how certain careers suddenly explode, or how some leaders remain at the top against all odds? Maybe it's not just luck. Maybe there's something far more sinister behind it all. Tonight, on Paranormal Pry, you will hear the story of James, a fictitious name for a real man, who made a pact with a dark entity deep within the Amazon rainforest and dared to break it. What happened to him afterwards will haunt you. But before we dive into this disturbing tale, hit the like button and subscribe to Paranormal Pry, because here we reveal secrets and mysteries that many would rather keep buried forever. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, there is a belief whispered only by the brave. The belief that an ancient entity, older than the forest itself, lurks in the shadows between the trees. A being without a defined form, a presence that feeds on darkness. Some say it appears as a shadow with burning eyes. Others claim it is nothing but a voice in the wind. But all who encounter it agree on one thing. It listens. It listens to the deepest, darkest desires of men, and it grants them. Power, wealth, fame, influence, anything can be yours. But the price is always the same: blood, a human sacrifice once every year. James, a man consumed by ambition, traveled to the depths of the forest, guided by men who knew the forbidden rituals. There, in a clearing under the moonlight, he made his offering, and the entity accepted. For years, James delivered victims, people who simply vanished without a trace. And in return, his life transformed. Wealth, prestige, and doors that had always been shut suddenly opened as if by magic. But over time, something inside James began to change. His conscience turned against him. Night after night, he dreamed of the victims he had offered, their hollow eyes staring, their cold hands reaching for him. Guilt tore through his soul. And when the time for the next sacrifice arrived, James made a decision. He would not continue. That night, as he stayed inside his mansion, trembling, the forest answered. A scream so horrifying and deep it shook the ground, echoing through the jungle. Birds erupted into the sky, animals fled in terror, and from the dark waters of a black river, something began to rise. The hunter. His skin pale like drowned corpse, his body tall and skeletal, covered in scars that looked like ancient tribal markings. His eyes were not human, two black voids that devoured the light around them. Bones and skulls hung from his body like trophies, clattering like funeral bells with each step. Slowly, he emerged from the water, as if he had waited centuries for this moment. That same night, James stood in his bathroom, staring at the mirror, trying to convince himself everything would be fine. He brushed his teeth, looked up, and froze. Behind him, in the mirror, stood the hunter, motionless, watching. James spun around, but the room was empty. When he turned back, the mirror was cracked, as if reality itself had begun to fracture. The next day, James entered an elevator in his luxury building. The doors closed. Suddenly, the elevator jolted violently, the lights flickered, and the cabin shook as if it were about to plummet. James was thrown against the walls, his body slamming back and forth. And then, for just a second, he saw him, the hunter, standing calmly in the corner of the elevator. staring at him. When the doors finally opened, everything was normal, but James knew the truth. He was being hunted. It wasn't just James. Soon, people close to him began to die. One of his oldest friends died in a fiery car crash. Witnesses claimed it was just an accident. But James, watching from afar, saw the hunter through the flames, pulling something invisible out of the wreckage. Another close associate died at a party, falling from a balcony without reason. As the crowd screamed, James was the only one to see the hunter's hands pushing the man into the void. Every death was a warning. Every death was a payment. And James knew it was only a matter of time. He ran. He changed cities, traveled the world, surrounded himself with guards and locked doors. But the hunter didn't need doors. He appeared in reflections, in pools of water, in shadows at night, always watching, always waiting. And then came the day of the flight. James boarded his private jet, thinking he could escape one last time. But a broken pact cannot be escaped. The plane went down. Official reports spoke of mechanical failure, but James saw the truth in his final moments. The cabin dissolved into screams. Blood ran down the walls like rivers. The victims he had once sacrificed filled the aisles, shrieking, clawing at him. And then, calmly, the hunter appeared. He walked between the passengers like a collector among his trophies. He raised a single hand, pointing directly at James. That was when James understood. The pact was never with the entity. It was with the hunter, the collector of broken promises, the one who comes when you fail. James vanished with the plane, but in the wreckage, among the flames, investigators found something impossible. Footprints, human footprints, leading away from the crash and into the rainforest. To this day, those who venture deep into the Amazon claim to hear a scream echoing in the night, the same scream that marked the breaking of James's pact. And if you ever hear it, run, because it means the hunter has risen again from the waters. This was another disturbing story here on Paranormal Pry. If you enjoyed it and want to hear more tales of pacts, hauntings, and mysteries that should never be revealed, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because here we uncover truths most people will never dare to face. And I'll ask you one last question. Would you have the courage to face the hunter?